watching, listening, to view this with an understanding that there's more to the story, that we will do our own investigation, that we will gather information from the state, the private, public, and it's time to defend our clients, our side of things.
City officials are bracing for unrest. Are your clients concerned for their safety?
I've not discussed that with my client. I mean, I'm part of the same room. So of course, I would be concerned, community safe. We hope that everyone's voice is heard, part of the people.
Can I ask you a question about the director of the city now? He said he was grieved, he was shocked, he was sickened by what happened. It's absolutely appalling. And then went on to say what happened here does not at all reflect probably this was wrong, this was criminal. When you heard that, what did you think? And have your clients heard all of the charges?
I thought they don't leave now. I sent you the video. I put them all on leaves in it.
They're in jail. They arrested them for murder. The 5 black cops are in jail. They arrested them for murder.
I got them in the car.
We should have fair drill. And
Ready. Dallas gonna lead us in prayer.
Let us pray. Father, we come to you in the name of Jesus. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this meeting. Father, we pray that as we go forward, that you would lead us and guide us, and we do things decent and order in the best interest of the city. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll? Ms. Ramsey is present. Ms. Coates is gonna be here for her tonight, but Ms. Sandy is here. Ms. Coates is going.
Mr. St. Columbia,
Present.
Ms. Harris, Maxine Miller. Here. Mr. Etherly.
And so, I emailed my boss, because
We
she called
have,
me before.
Mr. Cameron absent and Ms. Monica Davis.
Okay, so tonight we're gonna be hearing from the water department. Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Ramsey. She had some.
The city attorney, I put a piece of paper under this, it's the subject is monies. The city attorney asked me if I would explain how the money comes in. Our sales tax, the city sales tax, the county, and our portion of the county sales tax arrives on the 25th. That's when we try to pay the bulk of our bills. I did a listing of what is paid out of that money. Normally, we get between 400 and 450,000. Now these are this 400 that's on there now, that is from the sales for the month of December. If you'll notice, we have health fund insurance, we have IRS that we pay, retirements for non-uniform and uniform. Then I've explained what closings accounts are, APRS, the property insurance, things like that. And then usually after the 24th, you're going to have another payroll coming up within a week and a half. I try to save enough out of that to make it. It's usually 140 to 150,000 for a 2-week payroll. Right normally at the end of each month, I only have between $8,000 and $10,000 to pay on bills. In mid-month, around the 15th or 20th is when we usually get our sanitation fees from the water department, which are running about 135,000. That makes the mid-month payroll. It doesn't pay the taxes or anything, but at least it makes the payroll. We work on a very tight budget. I'm trying to pay, like now, people that are calling with cutoff notices, vendors that are calling to cut us off. I had a call this afternoon from Jordan's Fuel. We're 90 days behind in paying for our fuel for police, sanitation, street, fire, and landfill. I have to come up with, we'll owe about 43,000. I've got to find them some money. Whatever I take out of my 400,000 that's not on this sheet is just less than I can pay somebody else. We do get franchise checks. We get a quarterly from Entergy. It runs about 120 to 140,000. Sometimes it's been as low as 90. It depends on the weather. It's the same with Summit Gas. It used to be CenterPoint. Our AT&T has dropped appreciably because a lot of people no longer have landlines and we don't get anything off of cell lines. The Suddenlink, that's dropped tremendously also because people are not using cable TV anymore. And then our state turnback was based on our population. It's so much per head. When I first came in the general fund, we were getting maybe $17,000 to $20,000. We had a good population. Now we're getting $9,000. Our street fund, turn back as they call it, is also based on population. In the past, we have had as much as $60,000 a month coming. Now it's down to like 30 or 33 because population has decreased. Also, the mayor had asked me so that y'all will always know what we have going. I printed out a check register for you to look at your leisure. That is the checks that we have written from January the 2nd through yesterday. And if you have any questions about anything, please give me a call and I can get you a copy of invoices. It also reflects any revenue that we have in the bank. For instance, this Bank of the Ozarks that you'll see like number 4 here, the Bank of the Ozarks holds out a percentage of our city sales tax and puts it in a reserve account. That's something that started in 2007 when we got the city sales tax. That's kind of like an emergency fund, and it has saved us many times when we didn't have enough money to make payroll. Right now, I think you might have, I haven't looked at this one, but there should be about 80 or 85,000 in there right now. And like I say, I try to keep that for emergencies. But any of these other things, like I said, that you have questions on, I'm always available, even by cell phone, day and night. Be happy to tell you, answer anything. The one thing I did put down here about the workers' comp premium, our workers' comp premium this year is $169,000, which was supposed to have been paid by December 31st. But they are kind enough to let me set up a payment plan. They do like to get at least 50,000 a month if I have it. We have gotten our workers' comp down from $269,000 down to 169. So that's quite remarkable for us. But the municipal league works extremely well with us. All of your health fund premiums actually are due by the 10th of the month, but they have known our financial status for quite some time and they let me pay it late without any penalty. So, but basically that's what I came to tell you.
Do have one question?
Yes, sir.
On the sanitation fees?
Yes.
When did you say you generally get that?
They generally are able to give me a check around the 20th. If people pay early, they can get me a check earlier. And it's usually about 130 to 135,000.
Are we receiving that now or?
They have started up again, yes.
How many months are we behind on that? Is the water utility behind on that?
We'll be, we're not gonna be behind. The check they gave me the last time was for December.
Oh, so it's caught up?
I'm happy that this information is being given to us tonight. This is more the reason we don't need to, as a council, to give out bonuses and increase pays right now until we get ourselves financially in better shape. Thank you very much for the good job you're doing in reporting this information to us.
Well, I will add one thing. There are several annual payments that I have to make and that I know y'all will take into consideration when you do appropriations. I have a sanitation truck payment that's due in April of $92,000. I have body camera payment of $32,000. I have 2 pumper payments that come due each year. One is $47,000, one is $79,000. So, you know, I know you're good stewards of the money and you'll take, that's all in your budget. You'll be able to see it. The treasurer puts everything in there. So I just want you to know, sometimes those big payments really hurt. They come at the wrong time, you know.
I commend you for the good job you've been doing to keep our heads out of water. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
And reason why Ms. Ramsey gave you that is because we hadn't been receiving this before. And I thought it would be good so you would, the body would know where we stood and how bills are paid. Because when I came into office, January 1 or the 3rd, actually. I was left with nothing. I have no information from the previous administration. Computers have been wiped clean. So I don't have any, I didn't have any access to anything. So really, I don't really know what's going on or what was left to pick up from. So I reached out to former Mayor Kevin Smith and hadn't heard back from him. Computers were wiped clean. I don't know where to begin. So I'm leaning on the chief of staff, Ms. Ramsey, city attorney and treasurer, and the people in the department to lead me, because at this point, I don't know which way to go. You know, I can figure, we're figuring it out together, but the way the way the previous administration left us, you don't know who's vacation time, sick time. You don't really know nothing, because they have not communicated with me to tell me or to show me where to pick up where they left off from. So there's no handing on the baton to say, hey, go this way, go that way. It's nothing. So the previous administration had left us in shambles to try to figure out what they have done. And you know, it's kind of hard when you don't know. Financially, you don't know. You depend on the clerk and the treasurer to tell you. But I think, and I wish if Mayor Smith listened, I wish you'd come to the table or come by the office and help us figure out what you messed up, so we can get this thing together, because we don't know. Emails. I don't have the phone that he had. It's went to Miss Floyd, who's running the dogs, the animal control. His city cell phone went to her, not me. So any contacts he had, I don't have none of that. So I'm left to figure it out. Me and the chief of staff, the treasurer, and the clerk, and especially the city attorney, we just trying to figure it out. So that's where we're on it. Ms. Ramsey?
If I may add one thing, I saw it on my note. My office is it's always open to any of you. I'll copy anything that you need. We do have about $250,000 worth of outstanding debt on my desk to be paid, but we can probably, as the city attorney says, work out payment plans with these people and get them paid off in an efficient, effective manner. And but anything that y'all need out of my office is available. Checkbooks, registers, whatever you need.
We don't have the income we used to have. That's
No.
like you brought out earlier in your conversation. I can recall we used to have a lot of money, but now it's gotten to where it's nickels and dimes. I mean, we really don't have the income, and that's what we've got to look at is our money situation.
And Mr. St. Clement,
Thank you for bringing that forward.
I don't think it's just that. We have the money.
Our population.
Hold on, wait. It's mismanagement of the city funds. That's what's been happening. And you've been.
I don't handle the funds. I don't know.
But hold on, Mr. Valley. You do know that we spent $800,000 on pumps. There was a $30,000 clearly fixed. We spent $400,000 in overtime. So the city has the revenue to handle its finances, but we did it together. No, we didn't do it because I didn't.
You were sitting right here.
Well,
you were right here with me.
I didn't authorize spend $800,000 on some pumps. I did after, but the problem was a $30,000 fix, and you and I both know that, Ms. Ramsey. $800,000 that this body screamed about on pumps. We got what, $4 million in correct in ARPA money.
Yeah.
Yes, about $4 million, and we ain't got nothing to show for it.
That's right.
No, but it's not. But you spent $400,000 on. Okay, if you look at the police overtime, that was $400,000. Look at the pump, that's $400,000. That's $800,000. Look at the gas. Look at the water department. Look at all the overtime that we spent. Most of our money because, and watch this, vendors, Ms. Ramsey. These vendors that was doing street cuts and this and that total up about $300,000. That's why we couldn't pay our bills, because the previous administration was so busy paying for street cuts, stuff like that, that we wasn't even bid before this body paying to folks to have, the fishing tournaments are cool, but the overtime that the fire department got was because of the fishing tournament. The city didn't receive any revenue from any fishing tournament that we had. No, it was at the city's expense. So those are the things that should have been brought out, that we spent money unnecessarily. We paid people to do things that wasn't bidded out. And Ms. St. Clement, you know as well as I know, that's why I was arguing, fussing and fighting, because it wasn't coming before this body. We spent $45,000 with one vendor pouring concrete, and you go out here now and look at the concrete, we got to get somebody to do it again. These are the issues. So the city council at that time wasn't spending any money. I was jumping up and, wait a minute, Ms. St. Columbia, hold on.
How about all
Ms.
these
St. Columbia,
bonuses?
Ms.
How
St.
about
Columbia,
all
I'm
this pay
speaking.
raises?
Ms. St.
How
Columbia,
about all this other
I'm
stuff?
speaking.
Well,
I'm not gonna.
And I'm talking.
Yeah, you go, when I give you the authority to talk, but I'm talking.
Go ahead.
No, you pause what you gotta say. I got the floor.
Okay.
Because the thing that I see now is people around the table, guys, they can tell you so much now. But when I was jumping up and down this table, telling the body how the finances were, me, Mr. Anthony, Miss Crockett, Miss Davis, Miss Ford was jumping up and down. We were called disruptors. But finally the day came that now you see that I wasn't the problem. You see these finances was messed up before. And it continuously, we asked for things, we're not giving, people making backdoor deals, creating, what was one thing we did that I didn't like, the mayor would do, he had a thing called serial contracts. The city attorney advised us that we cannot do serial contracts every time we come around. The same person got the same contract over and over. That put us in debt. So the body only approves what it's asked to. The previous administration wasted money. I put it on the desk to show you all how much money. So when we're talking about pay raise and all this, that wasn't the case. Overtime, not managing your department heads. That's how we got here. It was poor management on this city. So don't blame anybody else. It's poor management. When you got $400,000 of overtime, $200,000 of overtime, you didn't budget that. You spent it. Until you hold your department heads accountable, you're gonna continue to have it. In this administration, we're not having it. So, Mr. St. Columbia, now you're recognized.
Thank you, sir. I won't take as much time.
It doesn't matter how much time I take.
I have the floor.
I wouldn't
now.
care what you had.
I have the floor, please.
You need to
Mr.
show some
Mayor.
respect, Mr. St. Columbia.
I have the floor.
Show some respect.
So you respect me and let me talk now. I'm not gonna speak as long as you did about the problems.
The truth
You
hurts.
sat right here with me and you did what I did. Our council did what we did. I did not approve all those bonuses and pay raises that we need to go into, and I don't want this administration to go forward in debt. I want us to get ourselves out of debt, and we don't need to, and I'm glad all this is coming out, so we can go forward in a positive framework of doing things in 2023 that we need to move forward to. But we don't need to increase and give bonuses and all that. We just need to watch that in the next weeks and months to come.
You're right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
You're right, Mr. Anthony, you're recognized.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. St. Columbia.
I would not even get in this conversation except that Mr. St. Columbia, you're trying to take on a responsibility that's just not accurate. You said we did what we did.
Well, the council.
You're not recognized. Mr. St.
We do not spend money on a daily basis. We don't even have a checkbook at this table. I say that time and time again. When people say the council doesn't spend money, we appropriate money, but we don't have a checkbook. We don't manage day-to-day operations. What my understanding of what happened in the water department is a travesty as to what this community has lost by mismanagement. My understanding, it's a travesty. We don't manage the water department on a day-to-day basis. So you can talk about bonuses.
I'm not disagreeing.
But let me finish. But you're trying to take on some responsibility and say, we were here and we didn't do it. We did not do it. Nobody at this table, not you, not me, or anybody else who sat at this table, allowed people to pay continuously for years for equipment that we could have bought and saved money.
Put a stop to it now.
Well, that's what we're trying to do.
That's what I'd like
Now,
to do.
you're trying to soften the blow for the previous guy. You can't do it. The facts are the facts. Just let them fall where they may. Just let them fall where they may. And the facts are, again, it was a travesty what happened. Our water department went from being the cash cow to they couldn't even give us our money. But listen, no, that's not a board of directors. That was on the administration. They couldn't.
About years ago, you were on the Helena Council.
No, sir, I never lived in Helena. I was on the consolidated city council,
Oh, okay.
and we didn't need directors. We needed accurate
Well, I can
and
remember the
efficient
day the water
management.
company had a lot of money.
But guess who didn't spend it? See, this is the point. This is the issue. We didn't spend it. It got wasted in the water department. It got wasted.
I'm not denying
Now,
that.
Now, let me say this because I've been waiting for the appropriate time to say it, and I'll just say it now because I think it fits into this conversation. When we consolidated, when Mayor Valley was mayor, we used to do department head meetings or reports at our regular meetings. Remember, the department heads would come, they would report. When Mayor Willis came in office, he wanted to overturn everything that Mayor Valley did, and the department head reports went away, so we didn't get them anymore. I would ask for them and we wouldn't get them. I think Mr. Franklin came on the council and we used to talk about department head reports. So what would happen is the department head would come at least every other meeting and they would tell us what they're doing in their departments. Since you don't get a department head report, now we only hear from department heads when they have an emergency. So this is where the rub comes, because this is what's been happening in the last few years. People come into the room and say, I have $100,000 emergency and I need you to fix it right now. And so Mr. Franklin, Ms. Crockett, Ms. Ford, me, we go, what is it? Why don't we know about it? Why don't we know about it before now? But it's an emergency. If you don't do it, the whole city is gonna fall into Mississippi. So now we got people telling us, you gotta do it right now. Do we have any information? No, we don't have any information. We'll give it to you later. You gotta approve it right now. When if we had consistent reports about what was going on in departments and 10 heads are better than one, somebody at this table would have said, why are we paying this much in rental every month? How much does it cost to fix a pump? Somebody at this table would have asked that question. Because when we found out, we did ask the question, what are we doing again? But because we weren't given information, we couldn't even chime in and have a thought on the process. So no, I accept no responsibility for what went on day-to-day management in the water department.
You didn't run the water.
I didn't want to, exactly. And you didn't either. And you shouldn't sit there and accept that responsibility because it's not yours.
Well, if I may, part of the issue that I've been saying, I've said it so much, is a broken record. The mayor's spending authority is only $5,000 and above 7,500 have to be bid. And he cannot break that into separate contracts in order to defeat that. And that's what the ordinance defines as a serial contract. The reason why, when I met with Ms. Ramsey about showing how the money comes in and how much is left over, was to also show the stresses of the system and why it's so important for $5,000 contract to be approved. She's saying that basically consistent, the city has $8,000 to $10,000 to operate unless we get some large amount of money in. But the previous mayor just spent without coming to the body. So you have stressors where you have $250,000 unpaid bills. You have stressors where the 2 meetings ago, we talked about $89,000 that he just spent. And we have stressors where we do all these things, and that creates the whole problem. What I wanted was full disclosure, like the mayor has promised. And Ms. Ramsey is fully disclosing to the body. This is when we receive our money. This is how much we have. This is how we do it. So there could be educational process, so we can understand why it's so vital that there's openness about it. The mayor asked Ms. Ramsey, Mr. St. Columbia, Ms. Ramsey did a good job of getting it to you, but it was at the mayor's request that because he wants you to know about what's going on. So also, while you're commending Ms. Ramsey, I thank you for commending her, you should be commending the mayor because he's trying to give full disclosure to you about what it is. No mayor has come in and given you a check register. This is the first one. I'm gonna give you a check register and say, here it is. This is what I've spent. And this is what we have. Now, I say all that in the background. Mr. St. Columbia, I also want to say this. The body does need to look at what salary increases to give and all of that. The body did all increase the pay for everybody at the table. Last year in January in the budget, everybody received a pay raise, every elected office. That money was not paid until December. It was not a bonus. It was actually a salary increase. And as I understand it, you are the highest paid city council member at this table. You make about $7,000 more than the new city council members.
I'm not the highest paid at this table. Mr. Ethel is.
No, sir, you are.
You are.
Oh, really?
Yes,
I
sir.
didn't know that. Why am I the highest paid?
You
in the
surpassed
state?
me at some
I guess
point.
I've been here longer than anybody else.
No,
Your
you've accepted
bonus.
every bonus.
You accepted every bonus we give you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't accept all of mine. and
I'll
you
take
did.
your check. I'll give you mine then, huh?
For the record, I didn't take all of mine and you did.
I never approved of pay raises and bonuses.
But you got them. Every
Yeah.
last one, every last one we giving out, you got them as well. So some people around the table, you got them, and that's what that is. And we're gonna move on. We have the water manager. Mr. Murdoch, will you please come forward?
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Good evening, Mr. Murdoch.
Great. I want to say it's good to be here. An opportunity. An opportunity to kind of share with you. I put some packets on your desk. I want you to know who I am, kind of what my background is. So as you kind of peruse that, at some point, if you've got any questions about any of that, certainly I'll entertain that. I also gave you a sheet that's entitled, "What Are We Doing?" And I struggle. I don't think I had enough of the emergency sheets out. Does everybody have a sheet that says emergencies? If you don't,
Copies were made, emergency items, do you have copies of emergency items?
I'll get it for you, sir.
okay, all right. So I want you to have both sheets. I want you to have the what we're currently doing and the emergency sheet. And I think that'll help us to start some discussions.
Murdoch, I don't think you've introduced yourself.
I didn't, I'm sorry. I'm Calvin Murdoch. I'm the current person that sits across the hallway there in the water department. They have my title as general manager. I am a prior utility manager for Forest City for 7 years. Prior to that, I am a serial entrepreneur. I ran a very successful construction operation in South Bend, Indiana, the third largest African-American owned construction concern in the state of Indiana. If you go through the packet, you'll see some information that corroborates that fact. But I relocated back to Arkansas in 2007 because I like the country. I love the country, and I'm married to a girl that was born and raised in Chicago, and she came to Arkansas, kicking and screaming, saying, "Where's the mall?" There ain't no mall in Marion. But we're here. I wanted to give you another little introductory piece. And maybe I'll do that later. Let's go to what we're currently doing. When I got a call asking if I wanted to entertain this marvelous opportunity at Helena-West, Helena Water and Sewer, I was sitting on the couch, enjoying my grandchildren, my children. And I said, well, I need to think about that. So I finally said, well, I love a challenge. It was kind of explained to me what was currently going on. And I said, well, that's a challenging situation. And I've been here for about 12 or 14 days now. And I have confirmed that it is a challenging situation. And I don't want to sugarcoat what it is, and I don't need to point a finger at anybody. It is what it is. So what I've attempted to do in this, what are we currently doing? Asset discovery, trying to figure out, where all the bodies are buried, where the money is. When I went to Forest City, they had a manager that had been in management for 42 years. And they say power corrupts, power corrupts, absolutely. Not to say that anybody was corrupt, but they did not know where assets were. You all have a similar situation. This water department is a little bit different in that I do not have full autonomy to operate like I know how to operate. I have to go through you all for approval above $20,000. Understand that I was sharing with my folks earlier. In 1992, my construction company had annual revenues of $22 million. We were a well-ran, well-oiled machine. I know how to manage assets. I know how to provide positive leadership to people. I know how to do that. I think if you look into the package, you'll see corroborating evidence to that effect. I had some 12 years in the SBA, Small Business Administration, and I left, and they gave me an outstanding, an excellent rating. We did work as a federal contractor for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Our company received 2 outstanding performance awards. I don't know if you are familiar with who the Corps of Engineers is, but you got a Mississippi River that runs through the community. But the Corps of Engineers is the largest contracting entity in the world. Less than 1% of anybody that does work for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers would get an outstanding performance rating, and my company received 2, if that says anything to you, okay? But here we are, assessing, discovering assets, figuring out where Helena-West is. Now, access to information, and I'm accustomed to operating in a commercial environment where things move fast. You all aren't accustomed to moving fast. You all aren't accustomed to moving fast. You all move, that's as slow as molasses. Y'all move kind of slow. And that's an adjustment for me. And I guess to be in a governmental environment is different to me, understanding that there's protocol and there's processes that you need to go through for approvals, and that's fine. But if we can move a little bit more expeditiously, it'll be beneficial to me, because when I get bogged down, I'm like the Energizer Bunny. I'm going, and I like to get things done. But I'm a highly productive person. I like a plate full. If I got a plate full, that's just what I want. A plate full. Wearing multiple hats, doing multitasking, doing 15 things at the same time. Asset discovery. I'm still trying to figure out how many vehicles we own. Now, I got the asset list from Ms. Sandy. Again, and I guess you all are having a transitional situation between 2 cities and 2 departments, but the insurance register that from the municipal league that lists assets one way, and I want a physical asset inventory. I want to go out and look at it and say, yep, that's our 2012 Ford F-150 serial number, ... I want to go out and say, that's our Caterpillar dozer, serial number, you know the acquisition date, you know, where it's located, you know, all those little minor details that are of interest to me. And, you know, sometimes if people are not accustomed to doing things a certain way, you know, they kind of dig, well, nobody else ever asked us for that. Well, you know, it's a new day, and we're not doing things like you've been doing them. And we're going to get through that. The second item, employee assessment. The first day I showed up, I had every employee, the mayor was with the water department, come here, and I asked them to give me a resume. Give me a resume. You know, I need to know what we got to work with. You know, I really need to know what we got to work with. I think so far I've got about 8, a few of them gave me some today. You know, I need to know. I need to know what we got to work with. Now, I had this conversation with with Attorney James Valley. I don't know if this is a reconstruction project or not. I'm hoping that there is not an attitude that is so seated that people cannot be salvaged. That's my hope. Had a meeting with everybody at 1 o'clock today to kind of talk about, here's what we need to do going forward. Here's how we need to do going forward. And I shared with my last assignment, when I showed up, overtime for an entire year was only $14,000 for a whole year for the entire department. So when I walk in and I look at, but that's a culture that was allowed to develop. And when you allow a culture to develop, then people think that left is right and right is left, if nobody ever corrects the course. So somehow we have to be able to change the culture, change the mindset of people, you know, and they have some ownership in where we're going. That's the goal. So I'm waiting on the assessments to come in. At this point, I know for a fact that we are some employees short. We're some employees short in the administrative office. I don't know if you looked at the financial reports that Hoda prepared with what's it, Ward? Yeah, Ward Myers. If you look at his notes, beg pardon?
The auditor.
Yeah, if
The
you look,
CPA auditor.
if you look at his notes to the financial statements, he notes the lack of segregation of duties because there are not sufficient number of employees to segregate duties. You know, you don't want the person that writes checks, approving checks. You know, I don't let, just from my perspective as a business owner, I don't let anybody open the mail but me. You'll be amazed at what comes in the mail that if you don't open it yourself, you won't ever see it. So nobody opens the mail but me. So we need some administrative help for sure. As we're looking at employee assessments, you know, that's kind of a needs assessment. We need employees in the field. I was talking to the attorney. We need a parts clerk. You know, and I don't sit behind a desk. I don't sit behind a desk and look and act like a big shot. I get out and I see what people are doing. You know, I want to see how you're doing repair work. I want to see how you're fixing a leak. You know, and I'm not afraid to get dirty, but we don't have a parts inventory. You know, we had 2 repairs. We didn't have parts. We had to go borrow parts from another utility because we didn't have a parts inventory. not an expensive part, but we didn't have it. Not good.
May I ask you a question? Are you saying that we don't have any parts inventory?
I got a picture of what is, and I think I either showed it to Attorney James, you know, of what the parts storage looks like. And I've shared with you, and I think I gave a picture of the mayor. I shared with you what a parts inventory looks like, ought to look like. It's non-existent. For all intents and purposes, it is non-existent. But we need to have an adequate parts inventory so that if we have a leak, a repair, and we'll have multiple repairs. I shared the leak log that with my prior employment, you know, there's some 1,400 calls annually. And I'm attempting to implement the same system here. You know, I want to know what time the call came in, the location, when it was inspected, when it had a one call, when it was repaired, you know, when was it restored, you know, and that ought to be on a leak log that's basically in an Excel spreadsheet that's on a computer, that if the mayor calls, somebody calls mayor, well, he can pull up the leak log himself, scroll down through it and say, well, it was called in on this date, it was repaired on this date. You know, all that information would be readily available, and you could have that information if you wanted to. But we're working in progress. Try to move along a little bit. The next item 3, I'm trying to develop a priority list initially and understand my initial reaction has been to stop the bleeding. Stop the bleeding. You know, we talked about, well, you know, how do you get, I don't know how you get $800,000 worth of rental bill. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how responsible management gets there. And I guess it helps, you know, I ran a business for profit and I made a profit and I wanted to take the profit home and put it in my bank and let my family enjoy it. Now, you know, obviously, if you've got a capital or an operating budget, you didn't budget $800,000 worth of excess costs. You know, now the one thing that I did, and I shared with the treasurer, that I typically do a financial statement every 30 days. Now, my department was operating as an independent operating unit. And I insisted that my people generate an operating statement every 30 days so that at a council meeting like this, you would have an operating statement and you would see where money is being, what the revenues are and where money is being spent every 30 days. So you don't get a look down the road behind you and say, oh, you see it as it occurred, you know, and you can appreciate that if you're on a business. But we're going to get there. So our priority, stopping the bleeding, was to deal with these bypass pumps. Now, and that's a whole nother story. You got 14 lift stations and you got 7 of them with bypass pumps on them, and they tell me that you had bypass pumps for a year. Well, in the process of investigation, I've had Tri-State Armature come evaluate all of the electric motors and all the lift stations. I've had 10 Carver come over and they've evaluated all of the pumps and all of the lift stations. Well, a strategic spending of $100,000 a year ago would have cured the problem. Somebody made a management decision to not spend the money to replace what was broken. Now, that's one part of the equation. There's another part. If we go back up to the employee assessment, there has to be personnel on staff that have been trained to maintain the system. I asked the question about training and continuous training. Not anybody on the staff has the ability to disassemble a Gorman-Rupp pump and reassemble it and service it. Nobody. Well, again, that's a management decision to not have people on board that had the ability to maintain these pumps. Now, I don't know if you understand what pump stations are or not. You've heard the story, stuff runs downhill. Y'all heard that? Well, sewer runs downhill into a pump station. And if there is adequate gravity, it will get to its end destination. If there is not adequate gravity to maintain a continuous flow, it goes into a station that pumps it up, raises the level, and puts it into another pipe so that it can gravity to the next location. And it gravities from the collection point, like in your homes, until it gets to its end destination, which is the treatment ponds. Okay? So therein is the need for these pump stations, and these pump stations have to be functional, or your toilet's gonna back up, your tub's gonna back up. Okay? All right, so we're trying to stop the bleeding on these pumps. That's a big issue. Continuing to develop priorities of things that require our immediate focus. Well, on this repair, tell you that story that they're doing up on Liberty Street. Went over to the guys and says, he's digging a hole and he's laying the dirt over on the side because he doesn't have a dump truck. That's what I said. He doesn't have the utility does not have a dump truck. Doesn't have a dump truck. So once you go, and then I'm told that Public Works doesn't have a dump truck either. So what do? We don't have a dump truck. We had a backhoe that was down up at Barton being serviced at Case. And I asked the guys, says, gee, you're gonna need to go and pick up the backhoe. And he come back and he said, well, I had to drive it back. I said, what do you mean you had to drive it back? And he says, oh, you don't have no dump truck. I guess you wouldn't need no trailer because you wouldn't, have nothing to pull it with anyway. So no dump truck and no trailer. This is a horror story, isn't it? But you can overcome those things. You have to establish priorities of where dollars need to be spent in order to have an efficient functioning operation. You can overcome that. Developing priorities, and I'm gonna move swiftly. Developing preliminary costs for all of these things. So I've got numbers coming in for the pumps, for the motors in the lift station. So from a budgetary standpoint, I was hoping to have numbers that we could talk about today, but I don't, but they're in process, okay? So we will have numbers hopefully at the next meeting that I can share and say, here's what we need to put on the table to begin this fix. Obviously it's gonna cost money to fix what's broke, okay? Okay, we've talked a little bit about the evaluation of the lift station, so we've done that. Evaluation of the wells. and some of you, you know, and people, water and wastewater utilities, people don't think about, you know, water and waste until you go and turn the faucet on and no nothing come out. So then, man, the water ain't on. And you know, and you don't think about the sewer unless you flush the toilet and it don't go away. But what we do, what the water and wastewater utility does, the process of pumping water out of the ground, treating it, disinfecting it, pumping it into distribution so that it goes into the individual citizens' homes, collecting it after you've used it in the collection system as waste, moving it then through the collection system to these pump stations to our oxidation ponds for treatment and discharge into the Mississippi River. So that process is just a continuous process, and it runs 24/7. These pumps and things that we're talking about, these pumps run 24/7. So that requires that people, that employee assessment, people have to be on task to make sure that the system is operating functional at all times. Okay. Any questions on that so far? Y'all all right?
I got some. I'll hold them.
Huh?
I have some, but I'll hold them until you finish.
Okay, well, you know, I was gonna move on to something else. So, you know, if you got something on that, you know, we can deal with it.
Well, I think what I'm hearing you say is that the department has no goals, no direction. They just kind of operate. The lights come on and people come to work and then they go home.
It's on autopilot, not doing real well. It was, okay? Yeah, that's another issue. A lack of supervision in the field. There's no general you know, I'm talking about employees. There is no general supervision for distribution and collection, and there has to be a person that makes the field people accountable for doing their job. You don't get what you expect, you get what you inspect. So if nobody is directing those people in the field what to do and how to do, they're left to their own imagination about what it is. Not good. They'll do it when they want to do it, and they'll do it how they want to do it. Look at the leak log. The lady come back and said some leaks been on the book since May.
Can you say it again, Mr. Merchant? How long?
May of 22. You know, there was a leak out on 213, and I rode out with one of the guys, and I said, why? And I asked him, I said, why are you riding me out here to show me this? You know, tell me why it hasn't been fixed. And there was no reason for it to not have been fixed, other than there was nobody insisting that things get done. Now, I introduced something today, didn't go over real well, but
I know.
I gave them a daily activity report. And I said, this is your timesheet. I need to know what you're doing, where you're doing it, every minute of the day that you're on the clock. And if I don't get this, then you don't get no check. That's plain and simple. Now, so well, I won't call the EEOC and call whoever you want to call. Unless you get me a daily activity summary, you will not get a check. Now that's not harsh. That's fair, isn't it? And I'm saying you're going to be accountable for yourself. I'm going to know what we're spending our money. We're not going to, you know, you're not going to have any overtime unless I approve overtime in advance. You're going to work 40 hours. And if we have an emergency and you need to work overtime, we're going to pay you overtime. But it's going to be a necessity when you work overtime. It's not going to be at your leisure and at your pleasure. I mean, that's a different attitude, you know, and that's, yes, sir.
It's more I do. Did you discuss these things with your city attorney?
Beg your pardon?
Did you discuss these things with your city attorney?
Absolutely.
And your city attorney agree with everything that you were saying?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I want.
Yes,
just
sir.
want to
I mean,
know. Yes, sir.
I've used the daily activity reports before,
I just
you
want
know,
to see it.
and what it does is accumulates, and I've got 3 ring binders that this thick, you know, and yeah, there's resistance because people don't want to be accountable. They don't want to be held accountable. You know,
Something with you. I
Sure.
had the opportunity to go to the Arkansas Rural Water Association meeting in Lone Oak
okay.
recently. And I'll be very transparent. There was a lot of that went over my head, but I do remember there were 2 things, well, a few things. I have a bunch of Post-it notes that when you said it, I thought, oh my God, we have someone here who is truly in the best interest of the city. When you said that there needs to be a parts in the meeting, they said every 5 years, tanks must be maintained. There must be a preventative scheduled emergency type of account where you have extra parts set aside. That's mandatory. Common sense, mandatory. They said standard operation procedures signed by all water system personnel and management for legal purposes. Accountability.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
Breath of fresh air.
Yeah. Okay. Are we okay on what we're doing? Let's move on to the emergency piece. And I don't have, somehow I don't have one. Oh, that's all right. Thank you so much. All right. Here are the emergencies. Now, here's what, time management. What are folks doing with your time? Well, in my tour, I went up to the elevated tank that's up at the highest point of Helena. And there's I think that's it. What is it, the tank called? The Springtown tank. But there's 500,000 gallon elevated storage tank up. If you probably, none of you have probably ever been up there, but there's one up there. Well, when I went up there, among other things that I discovered, the perimeter fence is destroyed, trashed. But there's 2 legs of this 500,000 gallon tank that have eroded. And I'm saying now, the electrical service entry to the tank is laying down on the fence, on the perimeter. So I'm saying it's obvious. We've got 14 people on the payroll. Nobody in their daily checks, and they're riding around in those trucks that I can't count for all of them. Nobody has rode up there and looked at that condition and made a report. I'm old school. I'm a different kind of guy. And I just expect people to be more responsible and more accountable than that. I really do.
Mr. Murdoch, I'd like to add that you have the money in the budget to do it. It's, I think, what your problem, the problem is we just don't have accountability, like Councilwoman Miller said. We just don't have accountability. You have the money in the budget to do it, but nobody, they go up to the line and there is no follow through.
Yeah. Well, if I looked at and briefly looked at the 22 financial report, there's no excuse for nobody to have gone up there, but nobody insisted that that happened. And there has to be somebody that insists that it happens. Now, the daily activity summaries that I was sharing with you about getting a check, I don't know what you did with your time. I'll have a daily, a monthly calendar or weekly checks. You need to hit all of those bases. So, well, that's a lot of trouble, all that paperwork. Well, your check's a lot of trouble. So we just expect people to be accountable for what they're doing, for their time. If we're paying them, if they're on the clock, what did you do with our time?
Mr. Marcotte, thank you. I'm pleased. Just keep going. I'm just want to tell you in a minute, just thank you. Keep going.
All right, appreciate that. So the emergency, on top of that emergency list, now I've talked to a couple of structural engineers. I think one of those guys is supposed to show up either tomorrow or Monday. Now, just in telephone conversations, he needed, and I need to check with our next door neighbor, Wild Engineering. I mean, they've been here forever and a day. I need to figure out, and the structural guys will figure out what kind of foundation is underneath that tank. But nobody's even bothered to put any dirt in it. It's eroding, and it just, I guess if the tank falls down the hill, they'll notice it. I guess. It may not, may drive bad. Say, oh, well. All right. I've got the replacing and repairing of all the motors and pumps for the lift stations. I think I mentioned that we've got people that have done that work. I've got some preliminary numbers. The other part of that is we don't need to repeat our history. We need a staff person that is knowledgeable enough with the operation and maintenance of these pumps and these stations to maintain them once they're back up to speed. That, again, with that personnel evaluation, that person is not on the existing staff. Now, I've been in conversation with an individual that is kind of teetering on whether or not I can lure him here for that job, but we got to pay him. I mean, if we paid $800,000 for pump rental, we can probably afford a $45,000 salary for somebody to maintain them. Wouldn't you think so?
I think so.
Yeah, I would think so. We talked about the small dump truck. We gotta have a dump truck. You can't run a utility without a dump truck. That you just can't do that. Gotta have a dump truck. We gotta bite the bullet somewhere and get a dump truck. And a trailer. I mean, it's unsafe for a guy to be running up and down the road with a backhoe. Just don't need to do that.
Additional wear on the equipment also?
Yeah, the safety issue is a bigger issue. I mean, people, run into the back of the boom, run into the bucket, all kinds of crazy things can happen.
May not be legal. I mean, can you operate excavator on City Street?
Moving right along. The next item on the list, all of the computers over in the water department are operating on Windows 2007, which Microsoft no longer supports. I was going to do a real fancy slideshow with PowerPoint with bells and whistles, but my computer, mine died altogether. It won't even come on yesterday. died altogether. We can't operate. I can't operate without a computer. You know, my grandkids, they got computers already and they're 3 or 4 years old, you know, so they got computers. So I certainly can't operate without a computer. Got to have a computer. We don't have computers in the water treatment plant. We don't have computers at either water treatment plants. Now we got a SCADA system, but we don't have computers. Well, that's another issue. We got a IT issue. We don't have email addresses for all those folks either. We can't communicate with them. There was some Motorola radios at some point, but I saw them in a box in my office, so the Motorola radios are no longer functioning. I don't know what happened with that, but 21st century is going to require technology. We got to invest in the technology to keep up with where we are. Let me go back to the pumps again. Ken Carver is sponsoring in their office in Memphis, and I think it's February the 6th. Excuse me. And I want to send 3 people over for pump training on these Gorman-Rupp pumps that we're going to reinstall in all of these lift stations. You got to train people. Let me say it again. You got to train people. If people don't have what they need, every profession that there is in America, they have continuing education courses. When you get it the first time, even law, you got to continue. You know what you knew yesterday. There's something new tomorrow, so you have to continuously educate, continue to train. Nobody has any training, has had any training. Now, and it's not your fault. I mean, nobody told you that you needed to have trained people, did they? But they got to be trained to maintain the system. They have to be trained. In the level of sophistication, there's a radio telemetry system on the water side and on the wastewater side. Nobody has any idea of how to deal with radio telemetry over there. None, no idea, no earthly idea. Controls in the pump houses. Now, PC ought to have courses in low voltage electric, and one of the investments that you have to, and this will have a foundation, you're going to invest in training. You're going to invest in training people to maintain the system. You're going to have to make the investment because you want to have them, because you want to be able to drink water, good water, and you want to be able to flush your toilet. So you've got to invest in having somebody that has the ability to do that in a cost-effective way. So you got to invest in the training. We talked about the emergent, we talked about the parts inventory. All right. So you understand the necessity of our having an adequate parts inventory so that we've got things on the shelf that we need when we need it. Now, here's, and this, people back up. We got people over there making $11 an hour. Hello. You can't support your family on $11 an hour. Nobody can support their family on $11 an hour. Now, and here's the, if you're going to train somebody and they're making $11 an hour, what you think they're going to do if somebody waves a $15 an hour carrot? What do you think they're going to do? I mean, they're gone because they got to take care of their family. And 15 is bigger than 11, so they're out the door. So if you expect to be able to train people and retain them, you got to compensate them like you want to keep them. Does that sound harsh? Now, this is a reality. So we got to belly up to the bar and say, oh, if we intend to keep people, we got to plan to pay them. So that's one of the reasons, we get this crazy overtime, because that's their way of compensating themselves. So y'all won't pay them, so overtime's all right, because y'all won't pay them. We'll get it one way or the other. Well, increase the salary will make it manageable. Increase the base salary, and then you won't worry about people pimping us on overtime.
Still pimping us. Pimping us hard.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay. I know they'll be excited to hear that was favorable. Understanding this is a work in progress. I mean, I just barely scratched the surface. I've been busy, the urgent stuff, put this fire out, but there's a lot of work and there's a lot of planning that has to take place in order to make this a viable utility again. And these guys are, they're decent guys that have lacked leadership, have lacked executive management, and I lack the proper equipment, and I think with the right resources available to them, they can improve. But there has to be a commitment from the top to make the improvement happen. Is that too heavy for everybody? Okay.
Yeah, I can dig it.
But, Mr. Murdoch, you the top, right?
Well, no, I report to you guys as the mayor. I'm intermediate.
I mean, well, what I'm saying, I'm saying this to say, me and you and Andre sings your praises, excuse my language, from hell to high water. Andre Valla sings your praises, and I think we have a good water manager. And so that when I say, if you are the top, I think we're in a good position.
Okay. All right. Now, the other part of that is, and I'll leave the best for last. I got to get paid.
Mr. Murdoch, can you say it again? I don't think they really heard what you said.
I have to
say it a little louder so they can hear you.
I have to get paid.
Yes, sir.
Now, I share with the mayor and Andre. Pre-COVID, I was making 92. Post-COVID, I ought to be worth at least 110, plus $1,000 a month vehicle allowance. I didn't hear nobody say amen.
Well, let me ask you this, Mr. Murdoch. Can we
meet you in the middle?
Do you mind us passing the budget on February 1st and then discussing this after February 1st?
Well, as long as everybody have, expectations,
yes, sir.
Understand what my expectations are.
Yes, sir.
I mean, and I was telling Andres, man, when we talked about this, and I did not have any imagination that it is what it is, but it is what it is. It's work program here, and I love work. I'm a workaholic, but it's work for me to see all of the things that need to be addressed, the amount of energy that it's going to take to turn around. The big part is changing the culture. The one thing that I want to, and I brought and I'll let you guys kind of share this around. When I talk about training, I can't overemphasize training. This is kind of heavy. I can't overemphasize training. We gotta have a program of continuous education within the system to perpetuate the system. Just peek at it, the end. that takes time, takes money. Now, the rural water courses are all over the state, in classes, and there are classes in February. You know, we need to be sending somebody to classes in February. Trying to sift through and figure out, you know, good candidates to train. But if you don't train them, you know, you gotta make the investment to train.
Mr. Murray, come in. I work with Mr. Murdoch. I was attorney for Ford City Water Utilities. And what he's passing around is the training manual that he himself authored for constant training for the employees at Ford City Water. And he didn't say that for the record, but I was trying to clear it up for, as he was passing around, you could see the type of training that he expects as go forward. I yield back to you, Mr. Murdoch.
Here's a piece that we did a newsletter, and look at the managers, and I want to give you two pieces. I intended to give you one. This one is the beginning, and I'm going to give you another one. We talk about the process, you know, and the aim is, you know, process optimization and operational or operating efficiency. So how do we optimize all of our processes that we do? And how do we do all of them in the most efficient manner possible? That's our goal. I would, you know, the guys were hauling, the guys were hauling diesel fuel to fill these bypass pumps. And I think I shared with James. I mean, the management helps people make good decisions. Now, they're using 5-gallon jugs. And I told them, I said, now, if I was going to select an archaic method to do that, I would take 5-gallon jug. A more efficient method would be to have a tank. Fill the tank, put a transfer pump on the tank, and you can back the truck up and pump the fuel. Duh. But that's what leadership does. You know, if somebody don't say that, they don't get there. They'll continue to go to Jordan's and fill up 5-gallon jugs and lug 5-gallon jugs over to the pump.
That's amazing, because you know, we spent like 40 grand a month on that diesel fuel, and they took it in 5-gallon jugs. Wow.
We got a solution.
Mr. Mark, I have a question. You talked about pricing, and you're well experienced with water and bypass pumps and et cetera. Just for the public's information, what is the approximate cost of a bypass pump, and what is the proper cost of the actual pump?
Well, I had this is the last one. I bought a bypass pump. I had two bypasses that I had to do. One on the 30-inch main wastewater plant, and another one on a 12-inch main. And after I had the first experience, I had to rent two because I had to have one for backup on the main trunk line.
This is why you went Ford City?
Yeah, so I could not afford to be down at all. And after that, for 2 weeks, the rental, you know, this is all the discharge hoses, the bridge, the suction hose, the dam, and everything that met ADQ and EPA regulations. The bill was about $30,000. So I said, okay, I need to. Oh, sorry. I need to not get into this situation again. So I bought a pump. And I paid like $30,000 for a pump, for a 6-inch pump. So now I understand from the Xylem guy, at some point, you all are really as big as a 10-inch pump, you know, which is going to be, this is a huge pump. But $40,000, you know, and I, as the industry guy, I think, confirming that we spend enough money with them, that we ought to own a couple of pumps. We'll see if we can get that to fly. I mean, but, you know, now that his story to me is, and I said, how do you let these people pay you this kind of money and not convert this agreement to a lease purchase agreement? Guess what he told me? Nobody asked.
Nobody from this administration, but the previous, from the previous administration, nobody asked.
Nobody asked.
They said if they keep paying, we'll keep paying.
We'll keep taking.
Yeah,
Give it to me.
keep sending them a bill.
They must like that.
But, you know, like I said, I'm an old school guy, I'm a different kind of guy. You know, and I've worked all of my life. So a dollar has a greater value to me than folks that haven't worked. So I've worked to earn whatever I've gotten. So I have a higher appreciation for dollars than a lot of folks. I don't waste money. Anything else I don't want to keep y'all here. We'll be late for dinner. Y'all got any more questions of me? Any more questions of me?
As city attorney, I thank you for taking on this job and beginning to make the presentation you have and assessments you have. And I pray that you will stay with us for a while, right the ship.
I like your style. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, everybody say it like this now. I just want them to like, when it's time to come to pay you, I want them to be the same way. When it come time to pay you, because
Yeah.
I want you to have what you need, because you're heading us in the right direction, and I appreciate you for
We
it.
pray that we would have the strength to see the project to a satisfactory conclusion.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you all for entertaining me. All right.
Mr. Murdoch, this $15, I will tell you, I will come in the morning and I'll try to crunch this $15 an hour. I'll try like Don Etherly, like Councilman Etherly said, the city treasurer, we'll try to make it work. And like Maxine say, I try to find the money. But I want everybody to be, but I will say this, and this is what I will, and I'll say this to the council and I'll say this to the listening public, is that, like Mr. Murdoch said, we were just running inefficiently. And so we were wasting a lot of money. The overtime, the repair costs. And so that's why these city employees couldn't get the needed increases that they have. And so you need a competent manager in place that can control costs. If they can control costs, then the city employees can get the needed raises that they need.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. We administration. I'm gonna turn to our chief of staff. He's gonna work with the administration. We gonna do that tonight. Are we meeting tomorrow night? Anybody? That's fine.
Yeah, Monday and Tuesday.
Oh, I was just, I like to meet. I see, Monday or. Well. No, I'm sorry, Mr. Harvey Williams, because we got a couple things. We can take it tonight.
Mr. Murdoch.
That's right.
Mr. Mayor, City Council member, I've been before this, this body once before, about 4 years ago, 5 years ago almost, when I was looking to start a business here. So my name is Harvey Williams, and I won't state the name of the business because it's not an infomercial, but I do own a business in town and in motion to open another business. So I'm paying good taxes, and that I anticipate that increasing for this town and this city. So I'm investing my money and my family's time and money into Helena-West Helena. At some point, I'm going to have people not tell me, you know, why, or have the question to me, why are you investing all your money down in Helena-West Helena? And you guys were elected to help make that happen. So people will see this city different. They will come here to spend money. The people who live here will feel good and safe about being here, and people don't have to leave and go to college and go off and not you know, be able to stay in their hometown. The reason I wanted to talk to you guys and just lend my voice as a taxpayer, because that's all I got. I got my voice and a vote. And that's all, at the end of the day, that's all you guys really have too, is your voice on this council and a vote for a resolution, a vote for an ordinance. You got your voice and your vote. The members of this community have the same thing. They got a voice and then they have a vote. You are a reflection of their vote. And the beauty of our democracy is you're not sitting there representing Councilwoman Maxine Miller, I'm sorry. But you're representing the people voices who are in your ward or district. I think it's ward here in West Helena. So I want to make sure that as you guys are going through this budget process, that you hear one of those voices, at least publicly here, because I'm sure when you go back to your wards, you hear it from your constituents. But this is one of the most consequential decisions and parts of your job that you make is budget. Budgets determine priorities. Budgets determine where you place your bets. Budgets determine where your city will be 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. But it starts with a budget. And if you're going to be the safest city, you declare, because you as a body have to make a declaration of what Helena is going to be looking forward. Now I know we've got some back reflection to do. You guys got some cleanup to do, but we need to spend less time there and more time on what we're going to do going forward with the money that you do have coming in. Which kind of gets to the point about, you know, we've talked about money going out, but we also need to focus on money coming into this town, and how do we get more of that? We've talked about population going out and people going out, but the only way money comes in is that you have the businesses, or you bring in tourists, you bring something in that allows money to inflow into your town. Let me get back to what you declare. If you declare that this is going to be the safest city in the state, then where are you going to put your money? Probably going to put it in the police and enforcement. If you declare it's going to be the cleanest, you're going to put it in sanitation. But you guys have to if it's going to be, now let me say this. I have been observing local politics for a while here, and I saw each one of you guys run for the office that the people elected you to be in, and almost without fail, every one of you guys had something on your platform in terms of blight cleanup. In fact, I remember attending the debate at the college, and the chief of staff said, not only do we need a code enforcement, I think we might need a code enforcement department to clean up our town, to make it safe for the people, make it attractive, make it less likely for people to feel like this is the place where it's the wild, wild west and you can do anything, right? But I haven't heard you guys kind of talk through that on your budget. Now, when you get in closed door executive session, my ask is that you guys give real voice to what this city needs and what you want this city to be. And that's where you place your money. And if you choose to place it all in, you know, the water department, it sounds like we do have some water problems, and we have come to rely on clean water as a kind of as a, you know, as a given, but not in Helena. I mean, I got here and I've got a water treatment plant in my place that I can bottle water there. But this city has had boil orders so many times since the time I've been open and in business. That's not the way a city is supposed to operate and have related. The citizens ought to be able to expect good, clean, reliable water every day and every time they turn the faucet on. And like Mr. Murdock said, when you flush, it goes out, not stays there or comes back at you. The same way with any of the public services. I'm looking for you guys to really speak to what the citizens need and use the money that you have coming in. And I appreciate Mr. Mayor and whoever made that happen, bring those finances to the public so we know the money that's coming in and the money that's got to go out. And part of what we heard, and you guys heard it too, we're a little bit on life support. If in your homes, you have to get payment plans, and in your situation, you got to get payment plans. We have a city who is now on payment plans to pay the bills. And that's not a great place to be. And I get that, we've got some mismanagement I say mismanagement. We have some lack of accountability of the money that is being entrusted to these department heads. So department heads, every one of them should be, sound like Mr. Murdock is what he's bringing to the table. You can pay the department heads more money, but unless you upgrade the talent and the skills of those department heads, you won't get what you're gonna get from Mr. Murdock. You guys got to find the money to pay him, but you got to find the money to pay whoever's worth what they need. But don't just pay somebody just because you want to pay them and they're in that role. You pay them for the skill, and pay them for the knowledge, and pay them for the capability, and you pay them for the accountability that they're going to bring to the role. I mean, I didn't even tell you anything about me, but I've run budgets much larger than this city has. A $50 million budget is part of my pedigree, but I'm trying to do something different and bringing that to this community, which I'm proud to do. I mean, I didn't name my business after this area because I wasn't proud of it. I'm proud of this area, and I want to bring more to it, both for my legacy and lineage, but also for this community. So that's really what I wanted to stand up here and say. I really am expecting, and the people that elected you guys, both those who voted for you and those who didn't. At the end of the day, you won, and you are the council member for everybody in your ward. You're the mayor for everybody, in whether they voted for you or not. Once you won, you're the mayor for everybody in this town. And I'm expecting you guys to represent us well. The last thing, and I'll take my seat or take any questions that you might have of me, and you may have the same question: why in the heck are you investing your money down here? But the last point that I'll make is, what's my train of thought on that one? Let's see. Department heads, accountability. We've already talked about the where you place your bets. Oh, the income. So at some point, we're gonna have to address money coming in. You got to get more money coming in. Pay raises are gonna happen. You're gonna need to have jobs to take care of people. So where's the money gonna come from? We are already, and I know this as a business owner, we are already one of the highest taxed counties in the state of Arkansas. I know this for a fact. Okay, so where's that money gonna come from? And I would submit to you guys that tourism is probably our best bet of trying to draw people in. Even businesses. Businesses will come if the quality of life and living is good here. They'll come. So will tourists. And they bring outside money and then they go home. You guys know what happens in New Orleans every weekend. People are headed there, they dropping that money and they coming back to places like Helena and Phillips County. But there's no reason why we can't have that same thing here. We just have to take advantage of that. And you guys have to make it a safe place, a clean place, a place that people want to come visit. I'll take any questions. I did not intend for this to be or even come across as a lecture to you guys, but I am saying that I expect a lot from you. This town, this city, these constituents, they expect a lot from you guys. And they voted you in to use your voice and use your vote to make things happen for this town. That's all. Yes, sir.
Title outside of the business owner or something associated with the Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, I am the current president of the Chamber of Commerce, Phillips County Chamber of Commerce. I joined the chamber. I was a little bit reluctant to do that. I will be honest with you, because the chamber, and you know, this is a public forum, but my knowledge of the chamber's reputation was not great. So I did not necessarily want to be associated with something that's not great. So either it's going to get great or I'm not going to, you know, have anything to do with that. So my job now is to figure out how to make the chamber work for all the businesses in the county.
And then Harvey, this
Yes,
is what
sir.
I'm gonna say. I'm gonna tell you like in the words of Johnny Carson, in the words of Johnny Carson, I did not know that. I did not know that you were the chamber president.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
When I was asked to be a member of the chamber, I said, look, if the chamber is going to continue what I've seen and heard about the chamber, then I'm not interested. But if you guys are looking to do something business-wise that's going to draw in business, that's going to support the businesses that are here in a different way, then I'm all in. Yeah.
Go ahead.
You are a successful business person. I mean, you're the Delta Distillery.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I thought your face looked familiar, and it's an excellent business, by the way. And you're on the Chamber of Commerce.
Mhm.
So if tonight there could be one decision that could be made by this governing board, that we were going to place an emphasis, and this is strictly hypothetical.
Mhm.
If we could place an emphasis on one thing, what is the most, in your opinion, what would be the one pivotal decision, or give me an idea, a broad idea?
Okay.
What would be one pivotal decision that we could make that you could say, yes, I believe that this could be the thing that could turn our community around?
Because the issues of Helena-West, Helena are complex, it is not necessarily one thing, but I will say the things that you guys are grappling with now, much of that could be fixed with capable, accountable department heads in terms of the city services, in terms of water, in terms of police, in terms of fire, you know. And I've listened to every one of them, and I intend to be at every council meeting that I could possibly attend, whether it's a special meeting or a side meeting, whatever session you guys let me into. I want to hear and understand what it is that you guys are grappling with. And if I can lend my voice to that, I will. But so that aside, the citizens can be taken care of, but that the way you fix the future of Helena-West Helena is clean the place up. Clean your city up. Because we got clean water, we got trash being picked up, we've got safe streets, We've got, good fire department, police protection. Pay those departments what they need to make those departments functioning, effective, and accountable. So that's the platform, right? Beyond that, it's the future. And the future is drawing people and drawing businesses into this town. I've got an article back there. In fact, if you give me just a moment, I'll show you the headline on this. And it says right here, America is moving to Arkansas. You guys see that? This was written, what is that? January 20th. So that's not been that long ago, right? So what it says is that 44% of people in 2022 came to Arkansas than left. So you had more people come in than to leave the state. And here's what I say to you guys. They are not necessarily moving to this quadrant of the state, but they're moving into the state. But that doesn't mean that we can't be a part of that influx of people. But it's happening, right? So the only way it happens for this part of the state is that we are intentional about drawing people here, and people want to be safe. They want to be entertained. They want to have something to do, somewhere to go, somewhere safe for their families, whether it's outdoor recreation, or whatever. But you guys have to declare for your city what we're going to be. And I'm all in to help do that with my resources, my family's resources. But I see this council, I see this mayor, I see you guys. You have the potential to make Helena better than it has been before. And I get visitors into my place every single weekend. And you know what they have to say? I remember when. I remember when. That narrative has to change, and it can change, but it won't change unless you're intentional about that change. And it can change to, man, look at us now. Any other questions? I appreciate you guys, and I am open to supporting in any way that I can. We had a survey to go out to all the businesses that that we have in the database for the chamber today. Went out this morning, and we have another one that's going to go out to all the businesses that we can get our hands on in the county. But the idea is what are you getting from your chamber? What do you need from your chamber? And how do we be an effective chamber for this community, this business community? And then from there, we're going to come up with a strategic plan. We're going to get the right resources, both people and money behind it. And my intention is to make the place go forward.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Are y'all planning I know we usually in the past years have had a chamber banquet. Have you got one planned for this year?
We have not, and let me.
COVID, I think put the damper on.
Yeah, but let me say something else. And since you asked me the question, and I'm going to answer you as honest as I possibly can. I'm okay with the banquet. I support the banquet, but I want to make sure that whatever we put on is inclusive of the whole body of community of businesses. Yeah. And from what some of this is by reputation, but from what I've seen thus far is not been totally that. So as long as we're moving forward together with everybody included, I'm okay with the banquet and spending that money and resources to pull the whole business community together.
I looked at something you put out on the internet recently. In fact, this morning I looked it over.
Yep.
Questionnaire about businesses in the community.
Yeah. Yep.
Excellent.
Well, Mr. Williams, I want to tell you, thank you so much. And this administration is and will work on all things. With the new water manager, we're working on water. With the new police department, with new chief of the police department, we're working on safety. And with code enforcement in full swing, we're going to take care of this blight issue. The new sanitation director, we aim to clean Helena up That was one of those things that I ran on, and Helena will look 100% better because we holding department heads accountable for whatever they do in this community. And we won't have some of the things we had last year, but I thank you for encouraging me to keep doing it. And this body, we're gonna make sure that this community sees those changes happening. Mr. Collins, our street sanitation director, is working on some things now. So I thank you so much for that. I'm glad you came. I was here when you first came to town, and I was like, man, this man came here to turn Helena upside down, and I see that downtown Helena, you're doing it, and I'm glad that you're a part of our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It takes time.
Yes,
So like I said, this was 4 years ago when I came to this body senate, and we're on the cusp of opening another business, and I'm hoping that we get that support as well. But there's some other things that we're working on that are outside of the for-profit side. So I think, Helena has so much potential, and I want to be a part of living that out. I witnessed 2 parades in the last 2 weeks downtown Cherry Street, right?
That's right.
I'll say this and take my seat. Every community, whether you're small or large, downtown Chicago, every community, the heartbeat of that city is typically their downtown. Whether it's Chicago or New York or any community, rural community, it's downtown. Helena really is no exception. And when they want to showcase themselves and have parades, they typically are down through Cherry Street. In fact, I saw the MLK parade, and you and the chief of staff were out front leading the charge on that. And I was like, there's some pride in that. Money can flow into this town through Cherry Street and then be spent in this community where it needs to be spent. We just got to get people thinking that way. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I got something good for you all. Traffic light out by Miller School. In the next 2 weeks, you all will see some progress on the light out by Miller. In the next 2 weeks, we're moving fast, trying to get some things done. And our chief of staff is working hard. Sanitation department, landfill, streets. Our chief of staff takes me places I don't want to go. Sewer ponds, you name it. I think we made a good decision with our chief of staff. He keeps me places that, when sewer ponds, pump stations, he's dragged me everywhere to see how this city runs. As a former mayor, he has showed me things that like, that doesn't exist, but it does. Helena is just not small as you all think it is. It's very broad. Helena is, my God, if you go to if some of you haven't been to the landfill, you should go. We'll be happy to let you get a tour of that. Our water department, you should get a tour of that. The pump stations, it's a lot that goes on in Helena that you can't see because you hadn't been exposed to it. Street sanitation, go to those buildings. I encourage all council members to go to each of those departments, fire, police, go to those departments and look at how they're structurally ran. And you'll be like, man, it's a lot for these department heads to try to maintain one city that it's 2 cities that just now is ran as one. It is a lot. You look at the manpower, as Mr. Murdoch was saying about the pay. Look at what our sanitation guys are up against. Look at what our street guys are up against, trying to cut the grass, trying to service your garbage, water, police, fire. Once you ought to get a feel of that to see how it feels. Each department head would love to take you all around to show you how this community is made up. And it's not easy, but with new leadership, Mr. Murdoch, I appreciate you. Mr. Collins, I appreciate you. I appreciate Chief Bell, Chief Brown, every department head. I don't want to forget anybody, but I want the body to really go by these departments even in your budget decisions, go by these departments. I know you feel like, well, they don't do, yeah, they do. Once you see, Mr. Murdoch said something to me, he's nobody knows how important water is until they look, because they walking on the pipes. You can't see it. I'm like, dang, you know, and it's a true statement. You don't know how water works until you go see it. If you value these employees and you value what they do, police, fire, street, all of them, because I don't want to forget about anybody, but you need each council person, before you make a decision, go to these departments, see how they work. Courts, you have to see it because I'm here. And I said what you all said, and I used to argue about it because I wanted to make a difference, and now I'm in the position to make the difference. And I appreciate 12 years, Ms. Harris, seeing what you said. I appreciate that because I value these employees. I mean, you know, picking up your trash, messing with your water, these things, value them. Yeah, we talk about pay and raises, but would you do what they do? Could you do what they do? Landfill, you walking on garbage that comes out of your house, thing from all over. Value what we have, and each employee of the city of Helena-West Helena is valuable. They need us, and we really need them more than they need us, because if they don't show up to work, we in trouble. And we got to value them. I know y'all probably say, well, they getting paid. No, we got to value our employees. We got to value them. We got to let them know that we appreciate them. If we can't give them what they're asking for, let's try to meet it. Let's try to do something, employee appreciation, something, because our employees are good to this community. And I like to see each and every one of them be thanked and praised, because you praise them, they'll go over and beyond. Grass season, Ms. Davis is not here, but grass season is going to come. And that's what each mayor catches. I can't say the word, but you know what they catch in the summertime when grasses can't see the stop sign. And I'm Mr. Collins and me have talked about plans. He's getting ready to start cutting grass earlier now, because I want him on it, because I know how I was on the current administration, and I don't want nobody on me like this. So I'm telling them to hit the ground running early, but we need to value our employees. I'm working hard. I would not be as good as I am if, because I see the attorney, he's on me like a cheap jacket. He's on me. We was in Pine Bluff yesterday, teaching me the law of things, and I'm like, man, would you just leave me alone? Yesterday I wanted to go to sleep so bad. But I appreciate that. And in the mayor's office, it's open. I want to turn City Hall into something different. I want the public to come in to see City Hall. It's open. My door is open to each and every one of you all. The doors of City Hall is open. The council meetings are open for the public to see what we do and how we do this. Mr. Anthony, I hate to see him sometimes, because I got to tell you something. Come here. And I'm open to, it's not about, I'm not any, this is what I am, each council person. I want y'all to know I'm with you. I'm right. Whatever you need me to do, I'm accessible. You can talk to me, call me. I'm here. I'm not gonna go down the road of arguing and fight, because when we fight, the citizens get neglected, because I'm trying to shut you up and trying to shut me up. I don't want to do that. I want to solve the city's issues, blight, public safety, all that I want to do here. And I asked from each mayor, I talked to Mayor Hollowell, he's agreed to come on board. Mayor Weaver has agreed to come on board. Mayor Smith has not returned my call, but I'm asking each former mayor, even Mayor Porter, anyone, former mayors, Joanne Smith, I want you all, if you all love Helen, like you say, you put your difference aside and come on, suck it up, and let's come on and get this community back where it should be, because I don't know everything. That's why you all were elected to teach me, and I'm gonna teach you all. That's why you got a chief of staff. That's why you got a city attorney, a treasurer, a clerk. I'm not gonna get out here and mismanage city funds. I'm gonna give you all so much paperwork that you're gonna hate to see me, because I want you to know what I didn't know at the side of the table. So I want y'all to know that this is not my city, this is our city. And we're gonna get it right together. We have department heads who are competent. We hadn't had that before. We had department heads to do what they want to do, but now me as the mayor, I'm holding you accountable, and I like to send folks home. Because if you're not productive, I don't need you. We pay our employees a decent salary, and I expect a decent day's work. I don't want you to, I mean, this is what it is. I'm here to make Helena better. I didn't take any campaign contributions because I didn't want you to tell me that I owe you. I owe nobody but the citizens of Helena-West Helena. I won by God's grace and mercy, and I'm intending to lead by that right there. So I don't have to be worried about somebody saying, I gave you this. With God's grace and mercy, I'm here, and I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do the right way. I'm not coming through no side door. I'm coming straight through the front. I know many of y'all listen to the blues, but Bobby Blue Bland said he's gonna come straight from the shoulder, and that's where I'm coming from. So anything else? Anybody got this? Anybody got any questions? Anybody got anything of me? Mr. St. Columbia, would you do the honors?
Wait a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do we have any, because we need to start
Numbers.
Nobody has given me any. I am to assume that everything is fine until somebody gives me numbers.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
We need numbers.
What? Well, the only thing I don't have, Mr. Etherly, I still want to get the landfill people call me. I just don't have the principal and the interest. I have the total amount, but I don't have the breakdown on it monthly. But
So it's time for Monday's meeting. I know they'll be going through crunching numbers, et cetera. When the department heads need to get you any additional numbers or any adjustments from the mayor's office?
I mean, I talked to Mr. Collins, I talked to Chief Bell, I talked to Chief Brown.
Are they numbers?
Yeah, I mean, they nobody has said, well, the fire department, my recommendation to the fire department was just pass the salaries as they are, so we can pass it by February 1st.
Okay.
And then, if y'all want to do some adjustments, do it after that, because I don't want y'all under no kind of stress, under pressure.
I'll make sure all departments, Mr. Collins, I'll make sure all departments, Mr. Murdoch, I'll make sure I meet with you all tomorrow, me and the chief of staff, and get all the numbers together, and we'll have them to you by the end of the business tomorrow. I'll push that.
But nobody has this. No one has made salary suggestions. You said that we're gonna talk about the sanitation equipment later, right?
Right.
Chief Brown said that his cascade system and all that stuff, he said he has a grant to take care of that. Yes, sir.
And with the water department, Mr. Murdoch, I'm gonna be getting with the housing authority, and there'll be some changes with that. So that'll be something more for us too. But anything else? Anybody? I'll make sure.
But Mr. Etherly, I mean, I really, unless you tell me something, I don't.
No, and that's what I was trying to get across, because we had two new members here.
Okay.
If you want to see the effect of a change that you want in the proposed budget, this is your time to contact him and get him to run the numbers for you, and he can actually print you out a copy of it. And so that's how it gets changed in the works. You want to go to him and tell him, okay, what if you do this? What will it do? And he can get you a physical copy of it. So you have something that you want, if you might want to come back and discuss it at the table, you'll have a hard copy of what you're trying to do and what the impact is. And so I don't want them to miss the fact that this is when you need to talk to him about making a change.
The numbers you're crunching is in this budget you gave us. Is that right? What you told me?
It may be a couple of things that we may need to discuss next week.
I'm going by what you gave me.
Okay. I gave you the numbers that I gave you. What are you holding there? Let me see. Is that the January 3rd budget?
That's the one you gave me.
So let me look before I.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you
I
gave
know,
me.
no, Mr. St. Clement, because I know you'll hold me to it.
While he's looking into that, I understand somebody went into the landfill last night. Yeah, we talked about someone sabotaging stuff out of the landfill.
Last night?
I heard somebody last night, the police were out there, weren't they?
Not to my knowledge.
Sheriff, okay, maybe my information was incorrect.
Oh, well, it was share with us, because I want to know what you're talking about. I hadn't heard that. Share with the body what you heard, because we.
Someone sent me a text last
Well,
night,
read us.
8:30, there were lights, gate was open last night, the landfill. You don't know anything about that?
No.
I didn't think much of it.
I wish you had a call, man.
I didn't hear about it till 2:30, 3 o'clock this morning.
I was up waiting on you. I was waiting on you.
The sabotage of the landfill came from the inside. It's from folk who
Well, I
work.
remember we talked about that.
It wasn't nobody broke in.
Well, I heard that last night, somebody was out there at 8:30 last night. Okay.
There's a mountain line out there.
So-
That's what's out there.
So there, in that budget, there's like one or two things we need to discuss next week. We can discuss it next week. Yeah, but I have discussed this with you. Me and you had the conversation the other day, right? Okay. But other than that, I've talked to Miss Miller, I've talked to Mr. Miller, I've talked to Miss Harris, I've talked to you, I haven't talked to Mr. Etherly or Miss Davis yet. But I think everybody's kind of in kind of like agreement. I mean, if there are no significant changes in salaries, I just don't see what I just don't see what the problem. That's just me. Now I don't know.
I move we adjourn then.
This is a matter, let's take limit, just for just one moment. They want to remind y'all that legally the budget has to be passed on or before February 1st.
Hold on, Mr. Man, and I kind of want you to, because I had this conversation with you earlier today, and so I need to know. You said the order that the judge signed this order, right?
Yes, sir.
And so you're saying that the budget will correct that order. I mean, if they pass the budget, we don't have to worry about the order.
No, what I said was.
Okay, I'm asking. I'm not saying this what you're saying.
No, what I
Okay.
said was the order says for take no action on ordinance 39, 22 and 4022, which was the base pay and the conflict of interest.
Okay.
The judge entered a second order yesterday, ex parte. Mr. League represents the city on it, but it was a second order in extending the order to March the 20th to a hearing.
Okay.
So here's the action that the council has taken. Only thing the council did was voted on December the 30th. Council has done anything, and something about them voting in ex parte communications to the judge, which I have no idea what the lawyer told the judge. Something about that is allegedly creating irreparable harm. And so the practical effect of the order is we have no base pay. And so, but you have a duty to pass a budget. And so you're passing a budget without a base pay. Base pay is not required under the law. Base pay is something that this body has done since consolidation for the simple purpose of the city council having accountability for all the positions that exist within the city and what the starting pay is. And so when we're doing the budget is not tethered to or tied to a base pay. The budget has to be passed. You have a compelling interest in doing it. If the budget is not passed, then the city is required to shut down. And so the city council has a duty to pass a budget. And as it relates to base pay, you don't have to consider it because the judge is telling you that don't take any action on base pay. Well, the only alternative is you to do is just pass a budget and keep going forward. Because you have an absolute duty to pass a budget, or on February 2nd, the city has to shut down.
Okay, because I think sometimes I'm a little bit confused
Mhm.
too. So, and I don't know how. Those two positions off the table? Are they on the table?
It's what the budget is. You're gonna fund whatever positions that you're gonna fund.
Okay,
I mean,
so-
whatever you put in the budget is gonna be the positions that's gonna be funded. So
Now, Ms. Miller,
you're not gonna be tied too much time. I'm the city attorney. Pause for a second. What you're dealing with is simply a budget. If a budget has a line item, positions in line item, the amount is in there, and whatever you funds in it, whatever funds you place in it is what the funds you place in it.
Okay, but because in last year's budget, as I understand it, those two positions or whatever they were not a part of that budget. So that means, or does that mean that this year, when we get ready to work on, complete, finalize our February the 1st budget, that those positions are not even up for consideration? I think that's what I'm
No,
asking.
it doesn't mean that. You, whatever you're gonna spend on a budget is what you're spending on a budget. If base pay never existed, Helena never had a base pay, West Helena never had a base pay. When the consolidation committee had a base pay. And each year you would pass a budget, and in that you would have whatever positions there are. So you're operating just like we did pre-consolidation, where the budget says we're funding these positions. And that's where we are at this point. And so in the budget, you all can discuss what position you're funding, what position you're not funding. And the issue is a budget has to be passed by February 1st.
Yeah, Ms. Miller, and then I would add that the budget workshops are for you to consider whether or not you want to pass. If you want to fund those two positions, two or three, if you want to fund them, then the body has the opportunity to pass it. You need 4 votes. And so, I mean, even though you may not want to pass 2 positions, it may be 4 other people that may want to. And so the council needs to consider if they want to pass them or not. It's not just one person, if Joe, you or Joe or Don or Toya doesn't want a position, Miss Harris doesn't want a position, but it takes 4 people to pass that or not.
I just wanted to be clear. And I wanted to be clear because we've had so much conversation in this room about deficits, and we've talked about being over budget. We've talked about overtime being excessive. We've talked about so many things. I'm like everybody else. I'm seeing dump trucks over in ditches that's going to be repairs. I'm hearing about the fact that we don't have pumps. I'm hearing about the fact that our big major water container has 2 legs that are eroded. I'm hearing about a whole lot of other things that, in my opinion, we could better spend our money on. So I was just trying to get clarity to make sure that I'm understanding what exactly is my responsibility to consider certain things. And if I have to consider it, okay, that's fine. I'm not saying I don't have to, but I'm just saying that I want to be reminded of all of these other things that to me seem to be more important financially. And like our mayor said, we're going to clean up this city. That's what he ran on. I appreciated the fact that you thought enough of us to bring that list of all these checks that were just written, not this, but you allowed us to see exactly where we are financially. That, to me, I can't speak for anybody else at this table, but that was really, really an eye-opener.
But Ms. Miller, I mean, I don't mean to sound, I don't want to sound, I'm trying to be diplomatic, but it is the vote of the council. So if 4 people say they want those positions, that's that's what I'm trying to say. Now, you can call me tomorrow. And you can ask me to put them 2 positions in there, and I can give you the difference between those 2 positions in there and out of there. And I can tell you exactly what it would be. But it's the body that makes that decision.
But we made some cuts, Ms. Miller, to make sure that we wouldn't be in the red, but we've made some cuts. Me and the chief of staff and the city attorney have looked at some things. Now, unexpectedly, things have come up to put us in this hardship I think this year will be so much better than we were in previous years because we have Mr. Murdoch with his management skills. We have Mr. Collins, we have Chief Bell, we have Chief Brown, we have department heads who are now being held accountable so that wasteful spending that you had in the past will not happen now. That's why I'm giving you all the tools that you all need to see what is going on. I'm gonna give you an overtime report after this pay period. Chief Bell's gonna show you the overtime is down. The water department, Mr. Murdoch is going to show you it's down. So we will not have that kind of wasteful spending that has put this city in the position that it has been because we have people who doing what they want to do, not asking anybody purchase orders or the city attorney. Have you saw purchase? Are you seeing purchase orders now?
Some, yes.
Right. So I'm gonna make sure that everything is being upfront. And I want you, that's why I'm doing things the right way, because I don't want to be on Ms. Harris or you to be like I was to the former mayor, because I want to give you all that I can give you that I know that's going on. So you won't have those kind of questions. Why we got this guy here, we pay $30,000 to street cuts as a serial contract instead of bringing it to the body and saying, hey, this is what we need we need these streets repaired. If you look at, we still got streets that you can't go down because blight has covered them up. So this administration, with the help of you all, we're gonna change a lot of things. It will not be like it was in the past, and you can see that now by the way I'm moving.
If I may, Mrs. Miller, one of the things that you still have the option to do that many councils have done in the past, when you get here Monday, you can start with line item 1 and go to the end of the budget. And so you have the option of going through and looking at it and discussing whatever and understanding what the rationale is for why we're doing it or why this position necessary, why this didn't. Or you can go department by department and go through it. So you still have that option as you go through it. And you can have as I said, the first night you were here, a robust discussion on it. We've been going through and having a discussion in broader terms. Now you're about to get to specific terms. And so you still have that option. So as Mr. Turner was saying, it's a matter of 4 votes, but the positions, instead of people dancing around it, is Monday or Tuesday, you get down to the brass tacks and say, I'm talking about this right here. Instead of being a broad discussion, well, I'm talking about 2 positions. It's Monday, Tuesday, you get to, I'm talking about this position. I don't like this amount of money. I want this amount of money and those things. And so that's where you are now that you've heard from all your department heads.
And if you don't like it, whatever you don't like, we'll be happy to adjust it and make the necessary changes. But I want you to consider whatever position that they are, they're competent people and they can do the work. I want you to consider everything that you see, and I'm negotiable to anything, but I want competent people working for the city of Helena-West. I don't want to have to tell people what to do. They should know how to function because they apply for the position. Mr. Murdoch, I haven't even had to say one thing when I saw his resume and he told me what it was about. I said, when can you start? And he said, tomorrow. But he also said, I need y'all to check the finances on how I'm paid. And he's been good for this city, as well as Chief Bell and Mr. Collins. But we'll have to figure out a way to pay people. But I'm willing to make sure that every dime is spent, that you all see it, and you all have a better grabs on finances than I had in previous years. So as the mayor, I'm telling you that we're not taking city's dollars out partying, and we're trying to handle city's business, and we want all our vendors to get paid. We have a 30, 60, 90-day turnaround. And we're working on some things now that we don't cut vendor checks the same week we do payroll, because that's killing us. It's a lot of things that we're working on, trying to make sure that our employees are paid and our vendors are paid. But we need light, gas, and water running for our employees and the citizens of Helena-West as well. So by that being said, I'm I'm ready to work to do whatever that we need to do to keep Helena moving. I want tourism. I want all these things that Mr. Harvey Williams spoke about to make Helena better. I want the downtown area to thrive. But I also want this. I want the business here in Helena-West to understand that I'm just not the mayor for one part of town. Since I've been mayor, and I'm glad to say since I've been mayor, I have not seen that one business owner besides Mr. Williams and has came and said, congratulations, Mayor Franklin, we're ready to work. They're still on the sidelines, iffy and scared. And I'm not coming in here to destroy the city. I'm here to help it. And if you're a business owner, from the banks all the way down to the restaurants, to the janitorial service, I'm here to try to make sure that they keep their doors open as we keep ours open. And I think the only way the city can do good if the small business do good, but the small business have to work with the city. That's the school district, that's the hospital, the college, and the banks. They have to invite me to the table because I'm inviting them to this table. Because we're all one city. Put your differences aside, the election is over with, let's work together because I need them and they need me. And most of all, the citizens of Helena-West need all these entities so we can work together. So I encourage anybody, the door's open, the mayor's office is open, and I'm banks, college. I met with Mr. McGee, the superintendent of the school district. He reached out, but I want them to realize that I'm not somebody to be scared of. I'm not a radical. I'm a person that wants to see Helena do good. And that's what I got elected for, to do good. I have no personal agenda. I don't have nothing to line in my pockets. Thank God I'm good on that sense because God has been good to me and I thank him. But I'm here to do good for Helena. I'm here to make sure that my children, I can stay here. I own a house somewhere else, I can go there. But I'm here because I want to be buried here. My heart and my joints and my bones scream Helena. That's why I'm here. I'm not here to fight with anybody. I'm not gonna raise my voice. I want people to spend their dollars here with tourism. I want you to come and spend a drink and be merry right here in Helena. I want all that to happen here. And we got business owners around the table. They need the same support. And I'm just telling you that welcome to Helena. I'm the new mayor and let's get started cleaning it up and working together. I have no issue with anybody. I just want to work. I want the school systems better. I want the hospital to be better because the people depend on the hospital. When people come here, they look at your schools, your hospital, and they get scared. And more certainly look at your city, the paper, the radio, all these things. We got to put, my grandma used to say, what goes on this house stays in this house. We're so quick to put stuff in the paper, on the radio about our city, and it scares people. And I don't want to do that. I want you to be so happy to come here. I want to talk about the Blues Festival. I want to talk about the legendary Blues Festival. I want to talk about Mardi Gras. I want to talk about all these things that can happen downtown. Only if we put your differences aside and let's celebrate Helena. Because I'm ready to have parties, not enjoyment. Like you look at the basketball games, look at the football games, look at these things going on. We got a parks department that we happen to see the mayor's football team or the law offices have teams they support, softball, little league, adult kickball. We can get that into the city to revitalize our parks. I'm working hard to make sure our parks get open so we can have an adult kickball team. You worry about your heart, let's get there and play kickball and get your cardiovascular going. It's so many things that we're working on to make Helena better. And I want y'all to be a part of it. I don't want you to be afraid of me. I'm just the person that want to do good. I'm young, ambitious, and I want Helena to be that way. And I'm going to fight like I did on many days with out there in the cold with a heater, trying to get you to elect me. And I'm here and I'm saying, let the good times begin for Helena. So if anybody out there on Zoom, anything, got some suggestions, the mayor's office is open and I'm ready to have a good time. I'm ready to put Helena back on the map, but I can't do it by myself. So I need all you to tell your friends, tell people that Helena is back in business. Ms. St. Columbia?
I move with her.